bro. That's not focus. We answer one silly question. That's mandatory in every single podcast we do, right? That's the Wednesday at slot now, okay? And yes, you, me, G, brew our own beers and ciders. It's just, but how is that a core focus of this of the Bamsters? Apart from us being beer enthusiasts.
Because our mascot is how we put ourselves out there. Our mascot is how we put ourselves out there. And it's a piece of bacon holding a frickin' beer stein. Hello, and welcome back. It is Monday, March 18th, and welcome to another news segment. This time, instead of G, I drug Bamm with me, because he's been lax on his Friday news segment, so we're going to make him do some news today. Bamm, say hi.
Hello, yes, Drac is not incorrect by saying I've been lax with my news segments on Fridays. It's just one of those things. That's all I really have to say to that. So let's get started. This week's news. Well, what's happened since last week Monday that we thought was particularly interesting?
Well, first up, I've been watching Cyberpunk news, so I
thought so.
I'm super excited for that game, as are very many people. But one of the latest rumors to come out about that, Lady Gaga, is she set to poke your face in Cyberpunk 2077? This is due to an unconfirmed rumor, at least at this point, that she's been seen at the CDPR offices for a motion capture session. I don't know why I was trying to say Inception there, but whatever. Lending weight to this, however, it's pretty fucking thin, as Murtaugh would say, is that Cyberpunk 2077 has responded to some kind of tweet from Lady Gaga from like 6 years ago. So... we might get Gaga in a Cyberpunk game here coming out soon.
Well, to be fair, you went for poke your face. I went for poker face because she's got to have a pretty stern poker face to sort of keep it straight, So let's see. Are you in 2077? Poker face. Nope.
Well, I went that direction because it reminded me of a joke that my oldest daughter told me when she was still in school and a little one. How do you wake up Lady Gaga?
Let's not repeat it. let's not repeat it, because I don't want to go there.
All right, moving on. Have you heard of a studio called Turtle Rock?
Those were the guys for Left 4 Dead, weren't they?
Yes, they were the ones that had done Left 4 Dead. But since they do not own the rights for Left 4 Dead, they're announcing that they've been working on a game called Back 4 Blood. This is not a direct sequel. Yeah. It's
but Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it's not so much a direct sequel. It's being called more of a spiritual sequel to the Left 4 Dead franchise. It's going to be another, it looks like 4-player co-op zombie shoot 'em up. But they're saying that they're going to be adding new things to it that they're at least claiming will make it unique. I enjoyed the Left 4 Dead series, so I'm looking forward to this. I'll keep an eye out for more information when it comes.
I hate being the naysayer now for the second round in a row because I've heard so much of the Cyberpunk 2077, I'm almost freaking immune to its sort of hype train. And to hear the Turtle Rock have finally actually be able to bring out their own game and not be yoked by the Left 4 Dead series, I'm actually quite excited. I'm not a fan of the zombie genre, I really am not. But, this looks like an interesting game. It's going to be exactly the same as Left 4 Dead. So I don't know why I've got to change a heart in it. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to share a lot of similarities with Left 4 Dead, but hey.
It's going to play the same. It really is. It's a case of like how you play Halo, and from playing Halo you can play Destiny almost straight off because the play style and the feel is the same. I reckon that's what's going to be like. Different story, different characters, different sort of bits and pieces, but I reckon it's going to play the same, which is going to be familiar, and I think it's going to help the actual franchise a lot. Similarities and familiarities with the franchise,
Yeah, and one thing that they're adding to this that I don't remember being a part of Left 4 Dead, but that's just because I don't typically look for PvP. They said there will be, in addition to a campaign mode that you can play through, there will also be PvP. Not a battle royale for fans of the battle royale genre, but it will be some kind of PvP in there.
Perfect. Now all we're going to have to do is wait for the battle royale version of Left 4 Dead. I mean, Back 4 Blood.
Well, and if you're a fan of PvP, Antimatter Games has also just this past week released a statement about a game that they're calling 83, as in 1983. These are guys that created Rising Storm. This is a team-based tactical first-person shooter set in an alternate timeline where, as they're claiming, the Cold War has heated up. So basically it's two large teams playing against each other. They're saying 80-plus players at a time. And they're intending to track everything from kills and captures. This is all going to be like recorded, and they're all going to take all these results, and it's supposed to have some kind of overall effect on the actual game world that you play through. So it looks interesting, and if you're into like tactical team-based FPSs, this could be something right up your alley.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what happened in 1983 with regards to the Cold War. I know that I think it was 82, the first Iraq War kicked off, I think.
Iraq? No, that wasn't until like 90s.
90s? I don't know. No, it probably was the 90s. I honest to Bob, I do not know what happened in 1983. I really thought this would have been said earlier on, as in like sort of like the mid sort of 60s, end of 60s, because that was when the Cold War for me was quite hot because of, the Cuban Missile Crisis, landing on the moon, beating the Russians to the moon, all that sort of bits and pieces, because initially the Russians were ahead in the space race. And when America put nukes in Turkey, Russia basically shat itself and decided to stick nukes in Cuba. And JFK, managed to dissolve the whole bits and pieces. Unfortunately, the rest of the world sees it like that, but it was actually his brother and the premier of Russia, whatever, that actually diffused it. So I'm actually surprised they've gone for 1983. I don't know what happened in 83.
Well, this is more the media and stuff they have, including the trailer, which we'll put a link to the trailer so you can see it. But the media that they have for this is, the Reagan era, at least, U.S. side of things.
Yeah, Reagan,
so.
I liked Reagan as president. The history of it, and not that I was alive then.
Well, you were,
but I wasn't really. Let's face it. But it was a case of you've seen many good things Reagan done, also many bad things. So
Gearbox. You know who Gearbox is, don't you?
Gearbox. Many names ring many bells, but particularly with Gearbox.
Borderlands. You played through the first couple. Oh, you never played those.
No. I can't say that I'm a fan of Borderlands. I've tried it. I've played the Borderlands 1. I've got Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 1. I've got the Super Amazing Awesome Sex Edition on PS3. And I think it came out as a reinvented version of the PS4, which I've got as well. And I played it with a very good friend of mine, a guy called Killer Sin. And I tell you what, it was the most boring game I'd ever played, but the color palette and animation style was very good. I just felt everything was a bullet sponge. Having said that, I played Destiny and Division, so I can't really complain, but I just felt things were bullet spongy, and the story was great. I mean, I like the story, but the game doesn't compel me to play it again. I played it because everyone else was playing it. All my friends were playing it. I didn't really enjoy it. Yeah,
I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the second one. And I was playing through what they called, it was their third game, but they called it the pre-sequel.
Prologue, the prologue or whatever.
No, it was the pre-sequel. So I'm calling this the next one that comes out, the post pre-sequel sequel.
the post sequel.
Yeah, something.
The pre-post pre, the pre-post pre, the post pre-post.
No, yeah, things were kind of bullet spongy. In part, there are a lot of folks who give them credit for setting up things for. With regards to things like the Division and whatnot, as to how that works, but I enjoyed it for what it was at the time. However, by the time the pre-sequel came around, I don't know what it was about that game. I started out strong in that, but I really faded out. We never even finished it, so I started to get bored with it at that point. So I got through the first two games, and it was somewhere through the third that I kind of faded out with it.
You burnt out, which is why a lot of people in the sort of Battlefield EA DICE series have burnt out with this latest edition of Battlefield 1. They just burnt out. Battlefield 5, is it 5 now? God. 6, whatever they call it, 4, whatever. Battlefield 4 was such a great game, and it had everything you needed that they then took away from it in Battlefield 1, and then they put it back in Battlefield 5, and it played the same as Battlefield 4. But people just burnt out on the franchise, and that was it. That's the problem with the yearly development cycle. They're treating it like the film industry in Hollywood, where every year you've got to have a new movie, every year you've got to have a new car, a new phone, a new this. When it comes to video games, because you like the genre so much, you will then buy the latest edition of the genre, but you burn yourself out. Totally crash. I've got Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1. I haven't bothered buying Battlefield 5. Haven't bothered. Well, because I'm burnt out on it.
We've been bullshitting this whole time. We haven't even talked about why we're talking about Borderlands. It seems that they're teasing a potential announcement for PAX East. So when PAX East happens here in a near future, we should be, or at least we'll find out for sure whether or not they're planning to unveil Borderlands 3 there.
Well, I hope it's Borderlands 3. And when was the last Borderlands game? What, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah. So I'm hoping they would have relit the fires for many people that were burnt out on those games. That's what I'm trying to get at, you see. With you at burnt out, and then trying to relate it to me that's burnt out on the Battlefield series. So this is why I'm saying I hope to God they don't announce Borderlands 3, which they are going to do, because it's probably going to burn people out because, the pre-sequel, whatever have you. But yeah.
So next up, Microsoft is bringing the Xbox Live Network to iOS and Android. So I guess you can carry over your achievements there now as well. I gotta say, I haven't been thoroughly impressed with their store. So if they can't get that working right, I'm a little worried about how this might work. But, for me, on the flip side of that, instead of being, completely negative, the positive thing is while the Epic Store is actively working to fracture the PC market with exclusives and whatnot, it seems like Microsoft is trying to bring in, mobile players in addition to folks playing on Xbox and PC altogether.
I like what Microsoft is doing here. It's about bloody time they did it. And they're doing it quite well. I just don't think the implementation of how they're doing it is correct.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it this way. Steam is Steam. You're not going to break Steam. Epic is trying to break Steam but through the store by offering exclusives and such, right? And like you said, trying to fracture it. Microsoft is trying to include everybody. And I don't think they've thought about the fact there's iOS games, there's Android games, all on different platforms, all on running bits and pieces of software and all that jazz, and I don't think it's going to equate across to the PC or the Xbox very well. I think the implementation's poor.
Well, the way that they're doing this, at least from my understanding of it at this point, is what you're going to be able to do is there are some games, and I think currently they're only Microsoft games, but they're getting ready sometime in the near-ish future, to open it up to other types of games as well, where you can earn those types of achievements on your mobile device, and it's basically all stored in your account. So what you're looking at is the possibility, depending on how feature functional this will be on Android and iOS devices, that you might be able to chat with your friends on that network, that you'll be able to keep track of your achievements for those folks who are achievement hunters and like to do that. Now, when you play certain mobile games, you'll be able to have those achievements in your Xbox account as well as the stuff that you play on Xbox or PC.
I'm not saying that's not a bad thing. What I'm trying to point out is that you've got a tablet game, yeah, but there's going to become a point where people on the tablet will then play the same game on their Xbox and then PC, because nowadays everyone's got a PC, Xbox, and a tablet. If you don't have that, well then you're living in the Stone Age. I've recently upgraded myself to not being in the Stone Age, you see.
I don't have an Xbox.
I don't think it's going to work. I do. I don't think it's going to work, from the bottom up. I think it's going to work from the top down. PC games going onto the Xbox and Xbox games going onto the tablet. I don't see there's going to be much movement there because there are tablet-only games. I don't see how it's going to run on the PC or run on the Xbox.
Well, it's not about the games running there. This is just the Xbox Live network. So this is basically it's basically like a social media profile.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is that if that's the case, it's very short-sighted,
I say good on them for trying to bring all these folks together as opposed to fracture and try and get a... I would say, I was almost going to say not try to get a monopoly, but it's not that they don't want the business of all these folks, but I think they're doing it in a better way than, my dig at the Epic Store with buying the, exclusives and then forcing you, if you want to play that game, to go through Epic versus giving you the choice and then providing you with all the extra features and stuff.
There's no way now Epic is going to break Steam.
Well,
no way in hell.
I'd say no time soon. But, on that
Utomic is doing a better job at breaking Steam than what Epic is doing.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
Well, and on that note, with the Epic's Game Store, they just released a feature roadmap that will make sure there's a link down there, too, so you can check out the additional features, bug fixing, and, we'll say, quality of life improvements that they're planning, I guess, basically over the next, 6 months plus.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool to see some of the stuff. User reviews are still being pushed out or targeted, I should say, at about 4 to 6 months. They're planning on adding achievements at some point within, it says greater than 6 months. So that's another feature that they're planning on adding. They're going to do a total social overhaul. They're, tracking playtime. So there's a lot of features that I see here that are things that have already been in Steam that people have wanted that they're going to be adding to the Epic Game Store. So I think this is a step in the right direction. Like, this is the thing. Add the features that people are asking for. Make your platform something that people want to go to because of what it can do. Not just go out there and because you have, billions of dollars from... Fortnite, go buy a bunch of Game Studio exclusives so that you force people to come to you.
I agree with that.
And the last thing before we get out of here today, something that came across my desk just this morning, which I thought was kind of cool, is you can now buy games straight from a developer's Discord server. So if you've, are supporting a developer, if you're interested in, getting information, you hook up on their Discord server. Discord's added a feature now where you can purchase the game directly from their Discord server.
Now, that is quite clever, you see, because Discord's a huge social network. You can actually then integrate a Discord sort of, the Discord store into that. And I think that will be something I think Steam might be worried about. Because let's face it, you're not going to break Steam.
Well,
you're just not.
But again, here's another company that I feel is doing it the right way. They're providing an option. They're making because nowadays, how many gamers don't use Discord? We all use, almost everyone, at least who plays on PC, I will say, because I can't speak for things like, PlayStation or Xbox, who have their own social features and, video chat or voice chat, whatnot. But at least on PC, and so many of these indie devs have their own Discord server set up, and they start building a community there. So now when your game is available for purchase, you can sell it there as well.
Clever.
Bamm's gone from being negative to the one-line positives. I'll take it.
No, it's I like the idea. I wouldn't. The thing is, it's another avenue to create funds for, your company, and without having to go through all the middlemen such as Steam or Epic, you can sell it straight to the customer. I like that idea. You don't have to go through all the bullshit and all the extra bits and pieces. You just go to the game or go to the developer. I want your game, and you get the game at the developer's price rather than the publisher's price. So, that's where they could have a better market for it. Say the developer for, I don't know, whatever. A developer for a game offers it for $45, but the publisher, who's whoever, offers it for $60. I'm going to go straight to the developer because it's the same damn game.
Well, that's
for $45.
That's one of the things we talked about, is because of the fact that the Epic Games Store is taking a smaller market share than the games. One of the easiest ways to entice people to come to their store is to sell the game for less. And we've seen that in some cases where the game has been for less, but in other cases it's been the same price as what you can find it on Steam. And if the game's going to cost me the same amount on Steam as on Epic, I'm going to buy it on Steam because I already have a massive game library on Steam and all of my stuff runs through Steam and I want to keep that. So it's about enticing people to use these other storefronts versus, forcing them to with all the drama we saw over the whole Metro thing. So,
yeah, the thing is, like you said, there's no right answer to this little quandary. Until Steam collapses, we won't know exactly how to beat Steam.
Well, there's definitely plenty of folks trying, so I guess we'll see how it turns out. But on that note, that has been the Monday edition. What did I say, April? On that note, that has been the Monday's news edition for March 18th. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll see you again this Wednesday when Bamm and G will be back with an interview for Lord Winklebottom Investigates.
Yes, we interviewed Charlotte from cracking game. I love it. Love it. That's all I'm going to say. A lovely game, lovely people. You guys need to go and support it on Kickstarter. But we interviewed the developer for it, and I had a lot of fun talking to her. It's a lot of fun. Guys, from me, Bamm, thank you very much for joining us on Monday, and I will see you Wednesday and again on Friday, because I've got to pick up my socks with this whole newsy effort type thing. Thanks, guys. Bye. Thank you.